A woman seeks revenge after her family is killed. Peppermint stars Jennifer Gardner and, okay, yeah, I'm just being dumb. But the premise is pretty much the same in the rhythm section. But this time it stars Blake Lively. And it's just a mess. The story picks up about 3 years after the family dies, and Lively, who is said to be one of the top students at Oxford, is now a prostitute junkie. Why, you might ask? Well, your guess is as good as mine. There's no answers, there's no reason for it, other than maybe depression, but I'm guessing at this because there's no context. There's nothing that we're told or shown or even explained as to why her life took such a drastic downturn. She's informed that the crash that killed her family wasn't an accident, and we learn all of this in about the first 5 minutes of the movie. And there is a reporter investigating the entire thing, and that's how he pulls Lively in. He also happens to know who the culprit is who caused her family to die. The story makes a lot of jumps in the information, and we're not told the important parts that really tie everything together. And I think some of that comes because this is based off of a book, and the author also wrote the screenplay. So as he's writing the screenplay out, he already knows the full story in his head. And so it's easy to gloss over things that you just may miss or you may not even take into account because they seem obvious to you because you know the entire story. Well, guess what? I don't know the entire story, and I still feel like now I'm really missing a bunch of bits of information as everything happens. In addition to Blake Lively, we have Jude Law, and he's playing a former MI6 agent, and he is the one who trains Lively. And I use that term very loosely. The training is way less than complete, which actually turns out to be a good thing because Law tells Lively, you're not cut out for this. You're not made for this. You're gonna fail. Well, I guess that's just setting us up for what could happen later on in the story. Sterling K. Brown plays a former CIA agent who is now selling information to the highest bidder. Those are the three major players in this, and really we don't get a lot of information about any of them. The most, though, we do get is on Blake Lively's character. There are also a lot of montage scenes, especially with Lively's character, and then even a bunch of fade to blacks where the scenes aren't really resolved. I mean, there's a resolution to them because they've ended when it comes back from the black and they've moved on, but we don't get to see what goes on in that. It just kind of, well, this is how we're going to wrap this part up. Moving on. But there are two really cool continuous shot scenes in the movie. One is a close quarters battle between Jude Law and Blake Lively as they're training. And that fight is really cool, and it's just moving about in this really small area, and I liked that. The second comes in the form of a car chase, and it's high energy, and it's several minutes long. I mean, the anxiety level, the tension, everything is really raised because of how it was shot, and I liked that. I'm a big fan of continuous shots, and when they are done in movies, especially like 1917, I mean, I'm just all giddy about it. But in this, these two scenes are done really well. I appreciated them. They intrigued me. They really sucked me in at that point because now something was happening. I was right in the middle of it. I mean, it is a bit frenetic, but that's okay because I'm just going back and forth and I'm right there in the middle of the action. Now, just like there are gaps in the information, the story also jumps from place to place. And it feels very choppy, and it feels just kind of like they don't know exactly what they're trying to do or where they're going next. It feels like almost like a bunch of scenes that, okay, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and well, okay, let's kind of put them together, and we'll just do one line of dialogue that should tie everything together, right? No. The film is trying to take us through twists and turns. The problem is that it's not very interesting when they do that. And then you combine that with the bad guys that are introduced, and they're not developed, and then they're not interesting either. I mean, it's just a bad combination of uninteresting twists, turns that kind of happen, kind of don't, then mixed with story jumps and story just pieces put together that don't really have a cohesive feel, and it's just kind of blah. Lively's character trusts almost blindly. And that almost harkens back to what Law tells her about, hey, you're not made for this. You're not cut out for this. You're going to fail. That she just jumps into with people and she trusts them. She goes along with what they say. And I think there were opportunities with that in the story to lead us on some really good red herrings, to just send us off in a wrong direction, to set up some double crosses that would have made the story really good and make it just have a really good punch to it. But at least with Lively's character, when she's fighting, I felt like she was fighting for her life, that she was underprepared, that she didn't know what she was doing. That part of it felt genuine. I appreciated that of her character, of how they did that in the story, because as we see through her training, she's not all of a sudden some superstar assassin or anything like that. I mean, she does it in a very compressed amount of time, and even then, it's lackluster, and she's not awesome at it. So to see her anything but kind of floundering and really, I mean, hey, this is a life and death situation. I'm in a fight, and if I don't win, I'm dead. Well, that came across on the screen, so I did like that part of it. Now, the climax in this comes, and unfortunately, it's anticlimactic. There's no tension to it. It just kind of happens. Now, I talked about the continuous shot with the energy of the car chase, and I would have loved for them to use that in the climax. Now, not the same scene, but the same feel, the same just energy, the urgency to everything that's going on, that it really feels like it's leading me up to a climax so that there's a payoff. Because when it happened, I was just like, oh, okay, that's it. Well, all right. I guess credits roll. Now, despite all of the things that I don't like about this movie, Blake Lively did give a good performance. I enjoyed watching her, and I enjoyed what she was trying to do. I just really think she was hampered by the script, by the story, by the direction, and she wasn't really given anything to work with. Same goes for Jude Law and Sterling K. Brown. They were good in what they did, but they also felt kind of one-dimensional, that they didn't get a lot of time to really flex their muscle, their acting muscle, that is, and really have developed characters that added something to it. And I get that all of that together just kind of really makes the film the mess that I said it was. Now, this might be okay if you're watching it for free on some streaming platform, but I know I would be highly disappointed if I dropped a ton of cash to take my family out to see this in the theater, even on a discount day. I don't think it's worth it at all. There's no nudity or sex. There is lots of profanity, violence, and drug use. I give the rhythm section 2 out of 5 couches. So what's your favorite Blake Lively film? I really liked A Simple Favor and even The Shallows with her. I thought both of those were a lot of fun. Let me know what yours is in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.